Hey everyone, it's Michael, GoosebumpsFan. I hope you're doing well today. I have a review here for a book that I think many of you have been looking forward to. Earlier this year, I finished reviewing every single Goosebumps book in my collection. I just kind of bombed the final, 20 or 30 out as fast as I possibly could. Sometimes multiples a day, whatever, because I wanted to get it kind of done. I'm kind of burnt out on Goosebumps right now, but I've had most of the year to kind of get over that, get ready for the new TV show coming out, do some commentaries. I still need to review the movie. I was going to do that during the summer. I just didn't have the time for it. There was so much going on. I had some other channel stuff I was working on other channels. But anyway, I finally got around to picking up the 3 books that I needed. The 3 books to complete my book collection of Goosebumps. I now have every single book that is currently out, no matter when it came out or whatever series, all of it. It's all done, as you can tell. The final 2 SlappyWorld books and the first of the House of Shivers book, but I'll talk more about these in just a moment. First and foremost, I found them at a Books A Million in Tennessee when my wife and I took a vacation this past weekend to go on our 3rd year anniversary. And we had a phenomenal time. Rachel, if you happen to be watching this, I love you so much, sweetheart. I had a wonderful time. You're my best friend. You're the love of my life. And I can't imagine life without you. But we had a killer time. We went to a Books A Million. She found some romance books she wanted to pick up, and I found these, and I was really excited about it. Of course, the SlappyWorld books are Night of the Squawker, which is what this review is about. Sorry for taking a little bit of time to get to that, but I am rambly, and I think many of you know that by now. And then the other book is Fright Night, which is named after a movie that I love deeply. This is probably not a vampire story. And then you have the newest Goosebumps book that I saw my boy Completionist posting some stuff about here on the channel, or on his channel at least. Goosebumps House of Shivers #1, scariest book ever. I also happened to flip through this, by the way, and the font has been changed, which was crazy to me. That's so weird. Also, this looks like a haunted mask on a bat body. Just wanted to put that in your head. Very weird. Now, getting to the actual book, the reason why you're in this video, or maybe you clicked on it right now, I don't know, is Goosebumps SlappyWorld #18, Night of the Squawker, the next to last of the SlappyWorld series before it ends on Fright Night. This was a book, first and foremost, that has a really cool cover. I really dig it, with the flames and fire, whatever that's supposed to be, the chain link fence, the sign right here, the crazy, very 90s Goosebumps bird. I really dig it. It also surprised me that this book was so short. It's 120 pages. Usually these SlappyWorld books have been 160, 150, somewhere in there. No, this was 119. It didn't even really hit the 120 mark, which surprised me, because I got about halfway through it, about 60 pages into it the day I bought the book. And I was like, wow, this is really flying by. It feels like it's going to end sooner than it actually should. I thought maybe there'd be some other subplots or something being thrown in there. No, that's not how it happened. This is really short, and it feels like it. Apparently Fright Night is like that too. Anyway, so I went into this book not knowing anything about it. I knew the general synopsis of it. I knew there was a crazy bird because of the cover, and I was curious about what was this book going to be about, because these are the final 2 SlappyWorld books, and they're not focused on Slappy. So I was like, that's going to be kind of interesting to see how we go to end the series, because SlappyWorld has not been a very wonderful era of Goosebumps. Every single book that I have enjoyed, except for one, It's Alive, It's Alive, have had an awful ending. Just an ending that just sucked, that just ruined the book for me. And I hear this constantly. Everybody seems to feel the same way I feel about it. Let me tell you first and foremost, Night of the Squawker is no different. The ending of this book kind of ruined it, and I actually, a matter of fact, the first day I was reading it, I got about halfway through, and I went to either drop the book or put it down or something. I forgot what I did, but I accidentally flipped to the ending and read the final chapter's page or whatever, and I spoiled the ending for myself, and I was pretty mad about it. But anyway, Goosebumps SlappyWorld Night of the Squawker is a very kind of weak, meandering story, but I did like it. I was into it most of the time, and by the time I got to the ending, it was such a weak ending, like most of the SlappyWorld books, that it just kind of fell apart for me. I don't think it really ended very strong, and it kind of ruined the book a little bit. I feel like I have something in my eye. I am so sorry you had to witness that. Night of the Squawker. What is this book about? Well, we follow a young boy and his family, mainly the young boy, who is into zombie movies. He loves zombie movies, and he is making one with some friends for a festival that's local. And by the way, his name is Cooper, like Cooper in the Goosebumps community. Cooper. I can't say it right today. But he and his sister kind of have the typical brother-sister relationship of being opposing forces all the time. The sister likes to wander away. He's supposed to kind of keep an eye on her according to the parents. But anyway, while he's filming his zombie movie, his sister runs over to tell him, hey, remember the fishing trip with our mom and dad are today? We have to go right now. Dad is packing up the car. We have to go. So they both leave to go to this fishing trip. And while they're on the trip, the parents start to set up to go do their fishing. By the way, they happen to be people who study birds and whatever. And whatever. That ties into the plot at some point. And the sister wanders away too far. The main brother, Cooper, whatever, follows his way out to find her. And he happens to notice a humongous bird that seems like it's hurt the way it's walking. It seems like it has a bad leg or something. The sister gets a little too close, the bird gets a little antsy, and the bird bites her. And from this point on, the day after the fishing trip, a couple of days after the fishing trip, all the way up to a week or so after the fishing trip, she starts acting weird. She starts doing weird things that Cooper keeps catching her doing. If he's walking into her room, he might see her, like, doing weird bird things. Like, she might be squawking, she might be doing whatever. Making weird noises, building nests in her room. Very odd things. Sometimes she's climbing up at the top of trees in the woods. I like the zombie story aspect. When they're making the horror movie, I think that's cool. I think the film festival talk is cool. But the actual bird thing, I thought was interesting. I thought it was okay. You know, it's kind of a filler book idea from like the 62 era. But, you know, it wasn't awful. I was trying to kind of understand the fact that this is not the worst thing I've ever read from Goosebumps ever. And then I spoiled the ending a little bit for myself by that flipping through I accidentally did. And I was like, oh, that just deflated every bit of excitement I had about the book. And then I kept going. And then I eventually got to the ending on the second day of having the book. And, nope. It disappointed me. It deflated everything about the book that I found even mildly interesting. And frankly, it kind of ruined my overall score for the book. I actually took it down a star from what I thought it deserved. Because it really was weak, man. It was a weak book, and again, a meandering book on top of that. It just kind of didn't really have a plot. It just kind of had the weird bird occurrences and kind of went here and there. And a lot of Goosebumps books don't have a plot. They kind of just have weird things happening around a character or to a character. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just a matter of I wanted more, and I was hoping that it would just do something more interesting by the end of it. I figured by the time this ended that maybe with SlappyWorld, maybe that Stein would come around to understanding that he needs to make a better ending for a lot of these. He did not learn that here. Night of the Squawker is not the exception. It has just as bad of an ending as something like Dummy Meets the Mummy or Please Do Not Feed the Weirdo or whatever it was called. You know, all of these other weird books out here in the series. That's a shame. I wish I could sit on here and tell you it was a great book, but it was a good book. It was fun to read most of the time. It's just the ending. It just deflates the excitement about the rest of the story. There's not many times an older franchise, or older series in the franchise, as a matter of fact, like Series 2000, GYG, there's not many older series in Goosebumps that have kind of just bad endings that ruin the whole book. It's not very common, and I've read all of them, I know that. But this particular era, SlappyWorld, it seems constant. It seems every single book is like that. Even the bad books have bad endings, which is bizarre. You would not expect them to be that horrible all the way through, which is strange. And I wanted to really root for SlappyWorld. All this focus on Slappy the Dummy, who's my favorite monster of the eras, the franchises, whatever. I really wanted to root for this era of Goosebumps, but man, it is a weak one. It's as bad as Horrorland sometimes. Sometimes Horrorland is better. I don't think it's a better overall series because I like a lot of Slappy books. I like a lot of other things in this particular development of 20 books or so, but I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, when it comes to Goosebumps SlappyWorld Night of the Squawker, it's not very strong. It's a cool cover, has some cool concepts in here. I like the bird stuff to a degree, and I like the zombie horror movie stuff quite a bit. But it just doesn't land. It's not a good book. It's entertaining, I guess, but it's not a good book. And I guess that's the biggest issue I have with it. At the end of the day, though, Night of the Squawker is not a complete loss. It was okay for the money I paid for it. It was nice for a little vacation read. To have something that felt like a filler Goosebumps book, and it still feels like Goosebumps, if that matters to you, but you know, I wanted something better. I didn't get that, and it's kind of a great example of why I just kept waiting off to review this, to review Fright Night, until the end of the year with House of Shivers coming out, like I showed you a moment ago, because the excitement has kind of deflated for me, because of how bad SlappyWorld has continued to be over and over again for many of the books. But with all that being said, though, what did you all think of Night of the Squawker? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments down in the comment section down below. Let me know everything you think about it. If I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I think I'd give it like a 3 out of 5. It's kind of a weak 3 out of 5, but it's a 3 out of 5 stars nonetheless. It's cool, I guess, to a degree. It's got some cool concepts, some cool ideas, but overall, at the end of the day, nah. Don't waste your money. If you're not a collector that's buying all of them, don't bother. It's not the best. Hopefully Fright Night is a better book to end this particular era of Goosebumps on, and hopefully House of Shivers is a better one to begin in the new series with. I don't know. I feel like I'm just not saying anything really exciting about it. There's not really much to talk about with the book. There's not really many spoilers or anything to keep even avoiding, you know? It just doesn't have much going for it, is what I'm trying to tell you. But it was nice for an anniversary trip to have something kind of simple to read. I was reading this in a Death Note volume, I think volume 4 of Death Note, and there's so much happening in Death Note, it was kind of giving me a headache. There's a lot to process, a lot of things happening in that 4th big volume. And yeah, so I had this for kind of a momentary break from the mental frustrations of Death Note that put you in panic mode and make you overthink a lot. Anyway, what did you think about Night of the Squawker? Put your thoughts and comments down below once again. Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all, and goodbye. Hopefully you'll tune in too, because I'll have some reviews here soon for Fright Night and House of Shivers Book 1, scariest book ever. Hopefully you tune in for all that. Thank you all. God bless you again. Goodbye.